Um, I'm going to be offering traits. And what I mean by that is if you are needing a reading and you don't have the fundings to do so, but you do something of your own, or you have something, um, like using your talents and your gifts as a way for payment. Um, we're gonna do that over here because it's like it's one of those things to where like I just want to help. And I understand like the stressors of things of that nature. We're gonna try it out and see how it is. If it's not too overwhelming, we'll keep it being a thing. But if it's like becomes extremely crazy, we'll draw back from it. Um, but overall, we're gonna see how that works. I also forgot to ask if anyone had any questions. Oh my god! Well, there we go, coughing. I felt that cough coming. It didn't know when it was gonna happen, but um, we're gonna talk about. Well, I forgot to ask. I mean, if anyone had any questions in the last slide, so we're gonna. I'm gonna remember to do that at the end of this one. But we're gonna continue talking about the spells. We're gonna go over some of the ones we went over yesterday, just letting the divine kind of roll through of off of everything that I have written down. Um, yeah, we could definitely talk about like this weird, like hypnotism. And just like how hypnotism's used in all everyday activities. Um, and this hypnotism, it operates off of how worthy you feel. You're either hypnotized to feel like doing something is wrong, or you're hypnotized to believe that a certain way of being is wrong or incorrect. We're hypnotized and in the sense of like it's I don't know. We're like trapped in the mirror, if that makes sense. When we end up taking in these reflections, when we are in this energy of these spells being casted of like the hypnotism. So that's just like the advertisings that we see, like, oh, if you're going to be this like actor or this performer, you need to have these types of qualifications to do so, or like um if you like what do all the like famous people wear, like, you have to wear things of that nature to get somewhere, like that type of hypnotism where like it ends up making you feel like you're unable to achieve your goals because of this weird external status. And we get caught up in this cycle of thinking that you need to have these things um, to get famous. Sorry, I got a hair in my mouth. But there's this energy of like desolation almost, where we're all like searching for this like this fame, this needing to be known. I don't like, and we're hypnotized to think that this American dream type energy is the best way you can go about it. But even then, like, it's not. Even the people who have like a shit ton of money, they're still not happy. They're suffering just as much, probably if not more. You know, it doesn't matter. It's about knowing yourself. It's about finding out who you are and remembering why you're here. We are so caught up in this facade, and It's like we're hypnotized to be like, yep, this is bad, and we should do something to stop it. Meanwhile, not doing much to fight it. And the only way you can really fight these types of things is to bring awareness to them. Now, does that mean that someone has to be aware and believe in magic and stuff? No, they can believe in whatever they want, but to be aware of what's going on. You know, when you hear the word spell work or hypnotism, this is like, again, it's these words that we use that the when we say them, the way we look at certain words are like childish. We see certain words as cuss words, like as cursing, like saying bitch and fucking stuff is called like cursing and using curse words. What are you talking about? Curse, like the whole English language is curse words. That what I was doing was called profanity. There's a different, like, you see what I mean? Like, we have these other words like profanity and all the like we use the word perversion in a different way. um it's just awful. I don't know, man, because we're forgetting words that have the actual meaning of what we're trying to say. um I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. We've just okay, yeah, because that's, I mean, that's a good example. I could just say that. Like, the best example of this is looking up the etymology of the word nice. It means someone that's not aware. Someone that's nice is a gullible person. That's why you usually assume that if someone's nice, they're gullible. Or you would say a trait of a gullible person is being too nice. It, which is like, why? It's like, oh, well, what the fuck's being nice? Like, they're a nice person. Do you? We say these things about people, and we say these things without knowing the definition of them. Like, word spells are a heavy point. We're gonna talk about word spells a lot, but that's just like a heavy point of it. But that's why these cycles happen. These repetitions. This need to be seen at a certain stature, because we've created this massive gap to need these things, and they're not needed. I don't know. It's because the importance of these spells that we cast, these words that are governed by time, we end up really like just getting lost in it. We end up looking into reflection for too long. And instead of like looking at the reflection and being like, oh, I don't like these things, you're seeing it's like, oh, Samantha said that they don't like that, and then Jessica said they don't like that about me, and you're seeing like everything just being a projection as it is. And it's just like, I don't know, these spells that we're under, or things that never existed at one point. In this whole spectrum, we would all like identify the world as being like a, and we're not going to use the word negative, we're going to use the word pessimistic here, but the world is becoming more of a pessimistic energy, because you need negativity. If you don't have negativity, you don't have any sort of power. You know, negativity is referring to energy, pessimism is referring to the emotional state of someone and how their outlook is. The outlook of the world is not a negative or a positive thing. It needs both. That's the poles. It's a pessimistic thing. But there's just a lot of doubt that's going around, not only just like on a personal level, but also on like a collective level. And it's because we're expecting, again, because of all these spells that we've been under, we're expecting like day of retribution. We're expecting it to happen and it to solve everyone's issues like at the same time. But that's not how it is. It happens separately for everyone and it happens multiple times. Like the we get stuck on feeling like everything's like a one and done deal. And it's because we're pushed into this monotheistic energy. When we say I want to become one with myself. I want to, you know, do this by myself and I'm strong. I'm an independent energy. Like these energies that you're using to like ego spy yourself, I guess could be a word. I don't know. It's like it's very egocentric. It's very focused on you doing it alone without, you know, you and the divine, but you want to be seen as like this energy of like I did it by myself with the divine. Like you want the divine just to be kind of like known that they're with you, and it's this ego thing. This might not make full on sense when I'm speaking about it, but and I'm not saying everyone. You know, you is not you. You is whoever it's to. You know, but everyone has this energy, and it's the same thing that happens with religion, and people don't want to admit it. Because this is what the ego does. But it's the same thing that happens in religion that's happening in the spiritual community, and people kind of see this, and I hope more people can become aware of it and how funny it is. Instead of getting upset at it, which is also the same thing that happens in religion, kind of just like let it happen. It's part of the growing process. But there's a lot of people that end up becoming spiritual, and then they end up like throwing out like a disregard for like what they're here to do. It's almost like they just wear the divine on their shoulder, but they're like kind of, I don't know. It's this weird spell of like making it feel like well, and it's not the spell's fault again, because all spells are neutral. It's the energy, it's the intent behind it. It's the way that the spell is going to react to the person. That's all behind all these things. But we've taken these things, and instead of the focus being on that, it's not just you who's protected, that it's everyone that's protected, and that you're needing to push forward. We end up in this situation where we feel like one's protection is more than the others. We enter this energy of feeling like you are more important than a mirror of you, which just isn't true. No one's more important than anyone. But we build up this ego where we feel like it's just because I mean, like I like looking back in the past, like even looking for at yourself and stuff, just watching videos and stuff. I would laugh and say certain things that I don't even really understand why I would say them at this point. I mean, like I get why I did, but it's it was like a way of getting out the pain, even though it wasn't proper or like a very high vibrational way of doing it. It was still turning it into some form of light, you know. And it's like that's what we're needing to look at with this spell work. We feel like when we hear that we're healing, when we hear these things, and we hear from the divine, from mirrors and reflections, that everything's going good and everything's working out, that you need to take these steps forward. We almost get lost in this game of feeling like we're able to like manipulate the divine because of how protected we are. Um, and like the world is our oyster, and everything. So it's the free will that we have, that it's up to us first to choose. But when we're told to do these tasks, like, oh, you need to complete doing this, it's like you know that it's one thing, but you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this instead of that. You end up like making a sacrifice, and oh, I'm gonna get rid of you first, so then I can like rest off on this and not worry about it. That energy is like something that we're needing to step out of to really connect with the divine, even like myself included. I'm guilty of it too, but it's something that when you become more aware of it, when you become more accepting of it, and seeing that you doing steps before your next step doesn't do anything but like make you have to go back. It's like this energy of, again, of just like the ego. And I don't know if it's because of the way that tarot is being pushed in the direction, or if it's like just a misunderstanding. I mean, in general, it's a misunderstanding. But I'm not even gonna try and explain it. I'll talk myself in a hole doing that. But it's like it's something about this spiritual ego that everyone gets under, and it has a lot to do with being birthed again. When you're placed in the new waters, you feel like everything's fine because you've never been in those waters before. And if anything disrupts you while in the new waters, it like agitates you. And the same thing kind of goes for spirituality. You're in this energy where, well, you don't have to be spiritual to have people be nice to you. That's not like at all what I'm saying here, but just to keep it on trail and keep it on track. When you enter this spiritual community, you're entering a whole energy where there's a lot of other people who are just like you and gone, like they're in the same energy of you, of getting over these things, and you end up getting this energy of being safe. It's this safe energy that you end up getting in, and without realizing it, that becomes your not only your essence, but also this poison that keeps you stuck in these loops. You grow fond of, I don't know, almost wanting an answer that you know yourself. The things the divine tells you, if you know it happened, you know your story, right? These things that you know, um that have for sure happened, are like have happened, like these things you that can't be ripped from you. You almost want more proof of why, or like of the exact details. It's like you want to almost relive it without admitting it. You kind of want to like relive that moment. Just why these energies happen. We're gonna talk about repetition spells because I feel like we're going to it anyway. But that's like this whole repetition spell, and that involves the spell of hypnotism as well. But like the spell of doing something over and over again, and then just again like either expecting a different result, or like I don't know, feeling it's like I don't know. We almost forget that it's not it's like it's important to keep moving forward, and moving forward is less about what you think and more of what you're actually doing, because you can sit down and think of how to be a better person, or you can go and do the steps, you can do the meditations, you can do the deep divings, you can do the healing works, the whatever's. But we get this energy of like, I think I've done it, and it's because your ego is like, yeah, you remember you healed from all this, and it points out everything you healed from instead of like showing you how you healed. Instead of showing you how you healed, it shows you how you healed from a mirror of yourself. How did you get over that though? It's not the fact you didn't get over it, but it's the fact of like seeing that even if you haven't fully got over, or even if you have, it doesn't matter. It's the fact of seeing it as it was, as just an interaction, as a collision of energies happening, removing the person completely from the point. It's not the person you're mad at. It's the energy, the actions that that person did. Because that person that you're trying to point out isn't real. That's a personality trait to a soul, which is the same soul within you. And it's just showing you, it's trying to match you without knowing you. It's a game of telephone. And that's really what life is. That's like, it's weird. Life is just a game of telephone. It's you trying to talk to yourself, but you're not getting the message. And you're not getting the message because there's outside distractions. Like the blindfolds on too tight, or those things of that nature where you're just focusing on these other things that are going on, that you're not really focusing on the bigger picture. And I don't know why people don't want to think that this isn't part of the healing journey. Um, it is. I mean, what do you think? Your body just forgets about the wounds that it's healed? Like, no, that's an imprint on your skin. I mean, shit, you got people who still have scars from when they were like children that they can point out to this day, and they're, you know, and show you, yeah, this is this scar. That's what that happened. That's what happened. It's a memory thing. It stays in. If that were to happen to you again, it would heal faster. It wouldn't matter on what part of the body it happened on. It would heal faster because your body already knows. Hey, this is what happened. Like, let's just get, we know how to heal this. It's just over here. It's just where it's positioned. That's all that's changed. It's the same. It's the same thing it's healing from. It's your whole body. This whole like meat suit's a memory thing. It holds the energy, the energetic memory, so that you're able to express it and experience it. And then the fields are all spread up. You have the mental, the emotional, the physical, the astral, and so on and so forth on the all those fields. But you being on the physical, and you almost learning how to navigate, not almost, but learning how to navigate this sea, these emotions, these colors, these different temperatures. Like, we, I don't know, we put so much focus on wanting to seem like correct in other people's eyes, and we're all really unsure of how to do it. And it's this weird spell of like repetition. And it's the repetition, instead of it being like a repetition externally, it's like a repetition of not knowing. Oh, it's like, I don't know, I don't want to say it like this because it's not a proper way of saying it, but I'm gonna say it, hopefully it makes sense the way I'm wanting it to. But it's like saying that you don't know about something and then still trying your best to answer it. Like, there's like that dishonesty where you're almost ashamed, or just don't say that you don't know something because you don't want to deal with like a preconceived backlash. Or like, something that might have happened in the past that you might have took the wrong way, or someone just did. It's these things that we take and hold to so personally, and then we project that onto other people. And it's not because we're still upset at that thing, but it's because it gets brought up, and it's not brought up to hurt. Because again, like, we're told these things, but you have to really sit and understand. Like, we're told everything happens because of the divine. Well, I'm here to tell you that the divine sent that person over to you to do that weird shit. Like, that was part of the divine's plan. It's like, I'm sorry to tell you, the way the world is right now is part of the divine's plan. Like, these things that we're told, no one really puts focus on, because we want to feel like the divine's this good and holy thing. Whenever the divine is everything that exists, and we're still hooked up on this defining of things like, oh, this is good and that's bad. That's the issue. The issue starts with you, and the issue starts whenever you choose to feel a certain way about something. And no one wants to really hear that, but that's how it is. Like, if I didn't feel the way I felt about things, I wouldn't be having the opinions and the circumstances that I'd be in. Same for you. It's all a program for you. How are you going to program yourself? Are you going to program yourself to always see, or at least attempt to see the solution of things, and not like over stressing it? Or are you going to like see the world as it is, and be like, oh, I need to have all these high fancy shit. I need to keep up with the Joneses. I need to cheat on people. I need to not be true to myself. I need to stop being me whenever someone finds it annoying. Like, why do they find it annoying that that's going on? Why are they annoyed at you having fun? If they are annoyed at it, then they should leave. Like, it's okay to voice your opinion, but at the same time, like, don't make it a big deal for either part. Like, if someone's gonna scream at you and tell you to stop because you're being too much, then what are they doing then? If you're being too much, then what are you gonna call that? Not you can't say it's perfectly normal, because what's normal, but regardless, it's these weird spells, especially with the whole like cause and react. We expect something negative to happen all the time when a change happens. And I don't know why we're trained to. I mean, I don't know when it really started to think like that. But everything like this starts is, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, because we know the laws of cause and effect. We understand the power of our brain, and we understand all these things. And then we, and this isn't to like say anyone's at fault. We're just being honest and telling the truth here, and getting down to the nitty gritties of what we're actually healing from and what's going on. But people will, they'll sit and they'll be like, I'm gonna manifest this thing, and they manifest it, and they're sitting, let's say, for a week, and for 5 days they're doing good, and then for the final 2 days they they hit rock bottom. They start doubting for those 2 days, and they just drag everything down. So then this thing manifests in front of them that they wanted, but it's not at all as they want. Like, let's say they manifest like a new job, but this job, they have they got hired because they needed someone, and it was a position that no one really wanted to do, but because this person needed a job, that's kind of where they got this energy that has them in this position that's not satisfactory. Is because during the week, those 2 days where they were like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, that's on them. Like, they ended up manifesting that in that energy that they were feeling. They projected it and pointed it towards a direction of what they were trying to manifest, which is protected by the divine, meaning what you manifest will come in, and it will come in the purest way possible. But until it comes in, you have control. The law of detachment teaches us these things. And people, we we as people, we don't really realize that um we again, it's about like keeping things single. We don't realize that we shouldn't just take things so like face value, and we should think outside the box as well, because these sayings that we're told, um the sayings that we're told, um I don't know. I don't. My brain's like shutting off. I'm sorry. I don't know. I guess we're not talking about that right now. Then it's fine. It just got ripped out like it was not supposed to be there. Anyway, um, let's talk about symbolisms and spell work, because you'd be surprised. So symbolisms, sigils, circles, triangles, squares, you know, the shapes, the symbols, um, basically everything, every symbol, and doing spell work with that. Um, and again, it's not saying anything is good or bad. We're here teaching neutrally, of course. Um, this is in no way to like fear monger. It's just to educate. But just looking around at everything and seeing its symbolism, what does it symbolize? You know, like a bottle. What does a bottle symbolize? Is like a container, like being well kept, like you know, just being able to hold things. I don't know. I don't like. What would you describe a bottle as? You know what I mean? Like those things right there, and looking at how that symbolism of that bottle. If we see a bottle and it's like we say it's not able to hold in liquid as efficient, which is kind of what happens for some reason. That's like a whole thing with marketing, where people want to like try and sell you the newest like thing, this weird repetition of symbolisms and words, and oh, this looks like this texture reminds me of having like a stronger grip than others. These things like that aren't as necessary, but we feel like they are. Um, and symbolisms is more than just like the actual like symbolisms of like triangles and stuff. Symbolisms is also like how we retain that information as well. So again, like you know, seeing the color red and seeing red as like a danger, or seeing roses and immediately thinking that a rose is like a love or something. The those types of spells. And again, like not saying anything is good or bad, but just understanding like the power of the human mind, of the words that we use, of just what goes on around us. And I mean, you can go back and compare like to like modern signs today, like fast food joints and stuff, and see the symbolisms in them, like the who is it? It's ball. The McDonald's arc is like ball. It's in the ball symbol, I believe. And then you have like all the one for Starbucks. You got all of them. You know what I mean. The Oreos, every like all those symbolisms. Um, and then to take it a step further, the personifications, which is also the symbolisms. Um, um, damn. Why does nothing wants to flow right now? I guess some things I'm not supposed to be talking about because it like I talk about it and it gets like zipped up. So okay. So what else are we gonna talk about then, Spirit? Uh, yeah, we could talk more. I guess like more on how to like see these things and to be more aware of it. We can talk about that for sure. Um, but like becoming more aware of these things isn't really like something as hard as we think it is. Just seeing things and keeping the curious mind of oh why does this symbolize that? Why does you know what does this symbol mean? What does that symbol mean? Where's that book at? Here it is. Because like I've recently got it. I haven't had this for a while, but this book of symbols is really good. Getting like just a book of symbols and really just sitting down and reading through it, or just seeing what symbols you have around you that help. Um, but just it's just understanding how how life is, and going down your own path with it. Like you know, using symbols goes for all sorts of things. It goes for alchemy. It goes for actual spell casting. It goes for like arts. You know, it's all sort. It's everything. So we're just using really these stepping stones that have been around since this dawn of creation. We're using them in, I don't want to say less productive ways, but we're using them not to their fullest potential due to of all these other, like, all the spell work that's done on humanity as a whole. And it's this weird, it's like it's all this confusion spell. They I don't know. And again, it's this weird energy of like ignoring the truth for like an egotistical like reason, like just being able to just know the truth and not even, you don't even have to agree with it again, but it's just knowing it. It's this weird like people we like we know about like the Bible and how it was stolen and plagiarized and all these things. But yet then people swear up and down that that's the only God, but it's like, well, who is that God plagiarized by? Like, there's God's not described, it's talked about everywhere. We know all these things, but then people will turn and still feel uncomfortable if God is brought to its full potential, or if the word God is mentioned and said about something that isn't like of like Christian relative. Because again, it's like these the way that words are used, the way, especially nowadays, the words that hold a lot of the power that really shape a lot of beliefs, we're just throwing it around willy-nilly without even like focusing on it. And again, it's because we're not focused on energy, we're focused on, I don't know, it's weird because we're focused on how bright we can shine by like trying to put a bunch of tiny mirrors around us, because all we're doing is really creating things that we want. Where you like, it's weird. This is how the collective conscious is being used though, because we're just manifesting things that we want. That's why there's so many like useless inventions going around. Like, that's why there's like, how many fucking like types of potato peelers do we actually fucking need? You know who manifested that? Someone who was peeling potatoes one day and said, "We need this to be better." That's why it invented. No one, it wouldn't be a thing unless someone wanted it to be a thing. So that's the reason rules are made. A rule wouldn't exist unless someone broke it. Well, why the fuck were rules created? What was broken for those rules to be created? These are the questions that we are needing to find these answers to to really understand what is going on, because there are higher forces that aren't on this realm that control this realm, yet we're still focused on the the lesser reverberations of that, because just again, just how the world is, and how existence happens, we're all a mirror of each other, and everything's a vibration. And the reason why it's not as impactful, the the energies that people throw, the energy of saying hate and kill is very strong. Not, you know that's a energy, like these energies that we talk about are super strong, but we don't pay attention to them. These words that we say to people that cause the greatest shock and offense inside of people, like that's the power that they hold in people. We like, they use them in these ways that we're desensitized to them. Like like people are desensitized to like murder and all these like and gore and all this shit, because if you're desensitized to it, then like it has no power over you. Yeah, but then you also just don't know the power that it holds. If you're seeing this gore, this violence, and hearing about it ever since you're a child, you're gonna grow up and just think, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. That's just what it's like. That's not at all what it is like. And then you also have this contradiction thought of, oh, it doesn't need to be this way though. But why do you keep saying in your head that it's just how it is if you don't want it to be that way? It's like these things that we do, we don't realize we have the power to change them, and it has nothing to do about moving on the physical. It's everything about the spiritual, the reflection of this spiritual realm right now that's inside of you, that's being told to you for why you're here and what you're doing here. and why you're sent here to help the spiritual war. Because why would you be on a physical plane to help the spiritual war if the spiritual war has not came to the physical plane? Like, we wouldn't be here on a physical plane on this 3D flesh, like carbon based like realm, if there wasn't some sort of spiritual backlash happening here. And that spiritual backlash is literally, when you play the Spore. I'm gonna talk about this because it keeps popping up and in my head. It's driving me nuts. Have you played Spore, where you're on this civilization stage and you're making your little town, and you either have the green smiley face or the red frowny face on your town for like your happiness gauge? The happiness gauge on this realm is at its all-time fucking like lowest. It's so red, and the frowny face is so sad. It's just not good. And it's this energy of, you know it's a materialistic realm. It's not going to be a very high vibrational one. And then, not in the sense of saying it's bad, but it's focusing on the material. It's focusing on the external, and the external is not a very fun thing to look at. And we're here just to remind these people, hey, this is what's going on. And even if they do have to reincarnate a few more times, it's these seeds that we plant. Like, again, I don't really care if people understand what I'm saying. It's these seeds that are going to be planted. You might not understand the way I'm saying it, but you understand it in your own way. And it might not be this lifetime or the next, but that seed that's been planted is now part of you. It's part of this vibration. It's how you wake people up. Waking people up doesn't mean you sit one-on-one with someone and teach them everything from the beginning to the end. This is what teaching is. Teaching is allowing it to be a natural state. We're not here to brainwash and to tell you these facts. We're just here telling you the same thing in different ways, and easier ways to grasping it, of different ways of growing up this ladder. Um, and we all have this ability to do these things, but it's one of those. It's a belief factor, and the belief factor has less to do with how you think and more of how you really feel. And this realm does not know how to fucking feel or think at all, which is why we're down here again, is so we can learn how to feel and think and learn how to do that. That's why we forget that we're gods. How would you feel? How would it, like? Hey, let's really let's think about this. Let's say we didn't have this amnesia when we came down here, right? And we knew off the rip that we were gods and goddesses on this realm. And one day at school, Samantha bullies you and pisses you off, and you want her dead. So then you accidentally kill Samantha on this spot because you thought that Samantha should die, because that's where you put your energy. That's crazy, right? That's crazy to think about it that way, but we gotta understand why we don't remember this shit in the first place. Because we're too powerful. So we do these things on a smaller level that impact us on this huge way. It's like that's not even a fraction of how powerful we truly are, which is why we have to forget who we are and then remember. And remember that we're goddesses and gods, but we're also on Earth, which is a school for learning. This no one's learning anymore, so we gotta start teaching. The teachers that have been down here have either been executed, took away, or labeled as something crazy. So now we gotta get new ones down, or they're dead. You know what I mean? Like, that's why we're here. That's the reincarnation. That's the cycle flush. That's all we're doing. Um, and whenever Earth is able, because it's not normal for Earth to be in this low vibration. It was pushed down this way for years. It was like ruled this way. We're just here to fix this shit back up and make it able so Earth can fluctuate at a normal point. The people stuck on the 3D aren't the issue. The people stuck on the 4D, 5D, however, whatever dimension you on Earth, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. That's not the issue. The thing is, the overall conscious of Earth, that's a consciousness on Earth, I should say, within Earth, is not at a high time. It's at a low, and it's because materialism has gotten so out of hand. The external has done so many things, like that have disgusted the general public to a sense to where it's not even really mentally understood anymore. It's just an instant dislike. And it's just there's so much negativity being pushed around. It's not much to do with like, you know, the energetic pollution that we have. It wouldn't even matter if like no actual pollution was happening. It's the energy of Earth. Like it's a whole system that needs to be fixed. It's not just the physical that we're seeing. It's this whole spiritual thing too. This planet is like it's rough. It's a rough school, but we're put under these like weird spells, and I don't know. It's like on top of forgetting who we are, we're then like put in between the veil and told to sit there and wait, or something bad's gonna happen. Or if someone tells you, "Oh, don't do that," or it might not work out, and like, what? Why would you like curse someone like that? Or like, why are people going around saying shit like that and trying to curse people? And two, why are you as an alchemist? And always remember that you're an alchemist. Always remember that you're a twin individual, that you are two and not one. Um, but ask yourself, like, why does it affect you? Why are you letting it affect you in a negative way? We have to remember that we have to take our own accountability for our own actions. And because you take someone's action as negative doesn't mean they did something negative to you. It means that what they did you took as negative on you. That's something that we have to understand. And these steps are not easy, but this is the type of healing that Earth needs. And it's not everyone needs to think this way, no, but more people on this realm need to lift their consciousness to this degree. The mystics of Earth, I like they're just gone. They're fucking too scared to come out of the hole. They've been like, let's get real. Like, listen, we put them in fucking yeah, we put them in circuses and stuff, and made fun of them, and then we like killed off their families, told them to go leave their land because their land was no longer. There's like the actual mystics, the gypsies, the magics, the magicians and mages of the land, the pagans, and all a pagan is a heathen, and a heathen is someone of the earth. All these people of the earth, why they're called that. Really funny how that works, right? You know, they're out in the wilderness and they're people of the earth, and all these just words, right? Anyway, anyway, they they're scared to come out, and it's not because like it's not because they don't want to deal with like what's going on in 3D, but it's one of those things to where it's like they know these secrets. Like these secrets are passed down through families and stuff. These aren't just like things that people stumble on. These are ancient secrets that have been kept in tight knit groups. They don't want these things coming out for a reason. They don't want the original people coming up and speaking, because it's like, we've kept you silent for so long, don't ruin it now. But it's like, we can't do that, especially because of like the internet, like the age of the internet, how it works. Like it's impossible. Um, but there's a lot more like attention to the spiritual realm. You know, now the norm is spiritualism, but then when you get into like mysticism, that's when people start tilting their heads again. But again, like that's just a whole thing of it within like spiritualism. You find out, and just all these lessons that you learn throughout everything. Everything really is just about what you focus on the most. If you like just looking at whatever you focus on the most, you'll realize what life is trying to tell you through that. And that's just mysticism in a nutshell, really. It's not just seeing it, but understanding it and living and being a part of it, taking a part of the experience experiment, and that's kind of the whole thing as well. Is we're in this experiment where we make our own world. And you might even say like that's like a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, as being gods and goddesses, we we have to understand why it's important to be restricted, because what we're being trained to do here is to create new universes, new worlds, like, and if we don't understand the laws and how they work, then the creators aren't going to be able to create what they need to do. That's like this whole reincarnation loop is like these gods and goddesses, and not even the fact of these gods and goddesses not doing something right, or on their life, but it's more of just these curses and hexes and binds that people get stuck with, and all these gods and goddesses, and that's why they got people that tag you before you're even fucking born, and they look at you, and now all these reincarnations of people, either like actual gods and goddesses or people within those bloodlines or families, are reincarnating because it's like, listen, we're trying to wake up and you're holding us back, and we know who the fuck you are, so what are you doing? Like, just because you're in a flesh puppet suit on Earth doesn't mean we don't know who you are in spirit. Like, you're, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, they're not, and it's because like a lot of people, again, they don't think deep. They, there's things that don't seem right to them, or they don't believe that there's something because they're told that they can't be, but who tells them? The same source that also tells them that they can. It's the way that things are worded, the way that questions are almost asked to you, is they're asked to you in this way to confirm it's like how definite it is. It's this weird like wager game. Because we're always like, we're stuck within this spell of being like, am I sure this is gonna work out, or is it gonna work out? And that's the free will we have. That's what we're coming here to master. And it has nothing to do with like making our thoughts not happen, or like sitting on top of a mountain for like 35 years. It's just simply being able to actualize who you are, remember who you are, and remember that everything is just showing you something on the inside that's not um working, something that's not working on the inside of yourself, but they want to tell you that it's everything outside of you. Like, they want to make everything seem like it's backward, just this weird reality mirror spell. They know that everything's reflected to you. They understand like what dualism is and what duality actually means. And since we're all under the influence of duality, you're not one person, you're two. They don't want you knowing that. They want you just to believe that you're one person, but you're not even a person. You're a fucking ghost piloting. Not even piloting. You're a ghost sitting in between two versions of you that aren't, that's like not a fucking ghost, and you're on this adventure with yourself. Like, you are like, these, they know these things, they keep them away from us because it's like these secrets. And you can do your research. You can, like, I talk about it all the time, but you can look at alchemy. You'll even see it. You'll see the mask, the man and the woman. You'll see it on playing cards. Each playing card has two heads. Everything's all about being two. Everything's about being a pair. It's called your left brain and your right brain, implying they're two separate brains. And we're going to talk about that as well, about teaching things backwards. I don't get this, especially in spirituality. I don't know why people just kind of agree with this. I don't know where this came from. Like, it doesn't even make sense. So I've met so many people, and it's not saying it's bad or anything. I just want to know like where this thought process comes, like where this comes from. But people want to say that the right side of the brain is the intuitive, and the left side of the brain is the one that like overthinks. But then you also say that the divine is the left side and the materialistic's the right side. That doesn't make sense. Because for something to be divine, it would be intuitive. The divine already knows what's coming in. So why would it be on the right side? That doesn't. Why would it all of a sudden like cross up on the inside? You know, like it does. It's not like that, and that's something that like people don't. I don't know if that's like just something that's taught in school or what, but it's not like what's going on. Like in all the text that talks about being offended, like Odin uh poked out his right eye, you know, looking at Oris and Ra and their eyes and their symbolisms even tells you. In the Bible it tells you um to poke out your right eye if you're offended by what you see, and to cut off your right hand, because it's about the physical. It's about getting rid of the physical and stepping into the spiritual, which is the left. The left-handed path, like I don't know. It's all of these things, but it's been like it's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why that has to be like a maneuver that they have to play with, but it is, and people just aren't aware of it. We really like understand what you're saying when it resonates with you. It's not just to tell you, yeah, you're on the right path. Yes, this is what you should be saying. It's there to show you like, what are you saying? Do you really agree with what you're saying, or are you just paying attention to the feeling of this? Like, I agree with this one thing, and are you? It's like I don't know these things that people don't question themselves about, like being truly open. Oh, I'm not judgmental. I'm open, but then they don't watch a video because it's not who they normally watch. So you're not being open to watching something new because you're wanting it to be a different like way of seeing something. You know what I mean? We don't we don't like thinking that way, and it's funny because the second I like took a minute to pause, the first reflection, the not reflection, the first projection I got was, "Is someone else will do it. I don't have to do that. Someone else will do it." And it's like, what do you mean? Everyone's saying that. Everyone's saying someone else is gonna do it. So who the fuck's gonna do it? Like someone has to do it. Someone has to wake up in the morning and be like, you know what? I'm gonna pay attention to how my brain is operating today. Let me know what I'm doing. What am I doing? It's like we get up half the time without even knowing what the fuck we're supposed to be doing. That's not like that's autopilot. Like why are we forgetting, like other than like having like actual like memory issues, we're getting up and walking around without remembering what we're supposed to do. That's like that shows how unaware we are. We're like blind. We're not even like properly functioning anymore. We're just kind of relying on, I don't know, it's like we have all this faith, but we're not putting the faith towards anything. It's like we running. It's like we're wanting something to be fixed, but in order for it to be fixed, we need to be able to like work with the divine. We're here to learn. Like we wouldn't. I don't know, but like it's just we gotta step into a higher knowledge of spiritualism. It's because we get hooked up on spirituality, and people people will say that spirituality is non-religion, which that makes no sense. But spirituality existed before religion was even a fucking concept. So don't even bring religion into spirituality. Like it's these things that people aren't even understanding, and it's not to say that things can't be brought together, but it's saying like understand the origins. Do you think that we were born with religion as the first thing? We were born with spirituality, with spirits. That's so in religion. It's these things that we don't necessarily pay attention to, and then we choose a side based off of what offended us more. and that side then has its own like rules and regulations that then you get to choose from. It's just these weird things that it's just mindless back and forth, like I'm better than you. And there's people that are in fucking religion, and they damn people who are spiritual to hell, even though the Bible is the spiritual object, and they'll even admit that, and that's just weird. So I don't know what they're doing there. But it's just these weird contradictions that people aren't really paying attention to, that we need to start paying attention to. As being spiritual people, we are the pavewayers of the world. We are the ones doing the one thing that's kept us alive. um because listen, like let's keep it real. the the mystics, the gypsies, the the Hemetics, all like like the spiritual people never like went anywhere. We were pushed into hiding. There was no like they weren't all killed. The practice exists. We're alive because of spirituality. You can look God, what is it called? What is it called again? What is it called? What is it called? Let me I gotta look this up. Fuck, is this thing? Yeah. What is it called? What is it called? What is it called? Yeah. So look, if you know about the monks of Mount High, if you know about those monks, and the whole trail that they take, they that in itself, the documentaries of these things are just proof of spirit being a thing, and how this world is not operated off of things of the physical realm. These monks literally they'll fast, and like after their fast they run. Like I don't know how to describe it. I know the ones that know what I'm talking about. I've seen it, but look up just it's just look up the monks risking death on extraordinary journey. It's like this video by Journeyman Pictures. It talks about like with how the monks, like they what they do with this, but it's these things that we're almost afraid to look at. Well, it's not we're almost afraid to, but we're afraid to look at them because of all this years of abuse. But it's like it's what's kept this realm alive, is being spiritual. Why do you like, again, like the awakening of spirituality, the the mass spam of opening up your third eye, which happened, which really it made me laugh a lot, because it was definitely funny seeing it flashed around. But I understand why it needed to be flashed around the way it was, but it would just kind of like put a smile on my face seeing it everywhere like that. Um, but we're like the spiritual awakening's happening. It's because like this earth is not gonna survive much longer, and it's not because we're taking so much from earth. It's because there's not much spirit on earth. Earth is dying, not because of earth losing this inhabitant, like the energies. Not stop, my god, can I use words right? Can we speak correctly? Can I use bigger words? No, probably not. But it's not because like Earth is running out of resources. It's because the actual spirit of the people of the realm are dying, and it's like awful, because you look back at all these everything in your ancestors' stories, and they're all happy living together in harmony, and it's like, and then things just started falling apart like crazy. Um, But this also goes back with like history spells and stuff. They like tell you all these things about history. They tell you that, you know, how barbaric everything was, how scary it was, you know. they laugh, they say, oh, they believed in spirits, but then they got you believing in like the god and the devil and demons walking about. They want you, they got you on that route, but you're over, laughing at people who are, worshiping their ancestors, or even, or better yet, calling them devil worshippers because they're worshiping their ancestors. It's like these things that we're told. It's like, I don't know why we got so like closed in. We got so boxed in. Um, but with these spells, the only way, and the only true way to really get rid of these spells is to understand them, to debunk them, to understand how it affects you and how you relate to it is how we break the spell. The collective way of breaking this spell, it matters, but it doesn't right now. It's a personal thing that we have to learn these things from. So these spells that we're put under, and understanding that spell work isn't necessarily something done on purpose. It's a way of life. Like we talk all day long. We cast spells, even if we're not talking to anyone, and we just say a random word out loud. We just casted a spell out in fucking middle of nowhere. Like, what are we doing? Like, we got to be more aware of these things, and it's not like to scare anyone or anything either. But it's like these things that we're unaware of. It's like we're here to learn how powerful we are. So why are we still ignoring how powerful we are? We understand our words have power. We understand these things, but then we don't, and it's because, yeah, thinking positively, thinking negatively, it's all a spell. Um, and it's not, there's no good or bad. Everything is neutral. The world is divinely created. The world is created the way it's supposed to be perfectly. Everything's happening within divine order. If it wasn't, it would be changing. The divine wouldn't let it stay an actual issue if it was an issue with the divine. You know, if it went against the divine's plan for this realm, it wouldn't exist. But we come here with the free will to judge. We send our energy out to judge things. Oh, that's blue. Why does that matter that that's blue? Why does that have to be blue? That could be any color, but you identify it with blue. Why? You know? If we really took time to rewire our brains, we could do all sorts of things. Why do you think people are able to like convince themselves that they're actually sick and then become sick with that disease? It's not because that disease then was attracted to them. No, they created that disease in their head, and then they fell under the spell that they casted over themselves of being underneath that sickness. It's like these things exist, and people don't really notice it. It happens all the time, and we see it in like the smaller things, but that's just kind of where it stops. We see it in like, oh yeah, I can understand how that worked for this, but what about these other things? The same exact thing. The fact that you were told that your birthday is your birthday, and that every day, every time the year happens, and this day, every year on this day, you get 1 year older. That spell right there makes you age one time a fucking year. And then you're told you age throughout time. Like, the more time goes by, the more you age. And then they define time with numbers and symbols. Like, that's how powerful we are. But we don't realize that. They do. That's why they have it invented. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's not that it would be a bad thing, but our awareness of why we created these things and how common they've become and how like commonly used they've been, it's not like the spell is losing the effect. It's just becoming easier to attach to. Like, and again, like, it's not to spread like fear or anything. Like, don't let these things like scare you. I mean, like, I mean, like, it is scary. It's scary. Like, how the fuck did we let this happen? as a collective, we really were blinded by like our own fucking reflection, literally, because we are only getting mad at ourselves for feeling mad at something, that we let all this other chaos ensue. So we gotta step up and take remembrance of that. You know, all this stuff's happening because we've allowed it, and it's not. Again, we're gonna. I because every time I say that, I get this weird wave of like, oh, don't say that, because then they'll think you're talking bad. But I'm not talking bad. Like I talk very neutrally. I don't. I stay very detached when I speak. Even if I get like, even when I do personal readings, I will say somebody, even though I know who supposed to be like reading about. I'll still say somebody. Like it's just who I am. I'm super detached. I don't like to identify by name or by anything really. It's just I don't really do that for people. I just observe who they are, and however they act is however they act, and I can't really like describe who they are or judge it. It's just one of those things. It's just how I've been. But it's something that needs to be more of a way of living, because we all had differences. Like the fact that we were all different isn't like a new thing. Like a lot of tribes had the belief of like the god, the deity that they worshipped, but they all had different beliefs of that one deity. They just knew how to live in harmony with one of each other. There was no grand like solution. Every tribe knew that this god that they spoke of was the same one that they heard. But it's like, how is this god the same as mine and they hear the same thing? It's because it's the same god. He's split up into multiple different forms just so people could understand who they are. I can interact with you like this and like this and like this and like this, and this is how we, you can do this to worship me. You can call me this name. All of these things happen for a reason. When you would sit around the fire and describe the gods, you would chime in with like, yeah, and they also do this, and like, yeah, they also do that. Like these things, like it wasn't one of these situations where you sit down and they tell you that this version of God will send you to hell if you're this way, and this version of God has already sent you to hell, and you have to beg for your forgiveness for your entire life because you are a bad person. It's like, what the fuck? Like, no, what the hell? You guys are just creating fucking gods at this point and sending them out and cursing people with it. What the fuck are you doing? Like, do you understand? Like, and then you wonder why, like, preachers then, like, these preachers that I even talk about like that, they have, like, these weird scandals behind them, or, like, super churches. Don't even get me started on those, dude. That's a different fucking energy, dude. Super churches, they're a different energy. Hey, shit. You want to talk about cults, dude. You want to talk about cults? Oh my god. We'll talk about the cults here soon. No, but, fuck. Um, but yeah, it's all about just being more aware of these things. And again, even if you don't want to like delve deep and like think about them like other people would, it's just understanding it, just understanding like, oh shit, there's a level deeper to this, and not letting the level deeper scare you. Um, because it's not supposed to scare you, it's just supposed to enlighten you. And it might not be your lifetime to do it, it might be your lifetime to do it. It doesn't necessarily matter. We're all on the same journey, to different paces. um but just to pay attention to it and to be aware of it is how we break the curse. you know it's not, again, because people, we want to think like it's something that we have to, like, how would you like break this curse, like what ingredients, like the ingredient is you. You're not only the creator, but you're also the field mouse. You you really, like, it's something crazy. It really is just crazy like that. And it's something that like we see every day. Like, you see people every day. Some people are raised and they're more outlandish than others and things of that nature, and it's like that's how they're raised, that's the spell they're under. You are under a spell where you are told that that one thing's a bad thing to do, but that one thing's something you really want to do as well, but you've been told that that's a bad. Why is that bad? What is the what why do we define something as bad? What is bad? It's a gift to be here. Is it a bad gift to be here? And then we got these like we have all these people saying that the earth is hell. Well, yeah, because you're making it that way. Anyone would understand that, especially when you get to these high levels of thinking. Like, you just understand everything is just how you think of it. Even if you don't want to be like spiritual about it, even if you don't want to think of it that way, because it's whatever. It all comes from you. Doesn't matter if you want to believe if you're on like the back of a flea on a dog, or like if the whole universe is inside of you. It's all because you just say that that's something, and because you agree with that, it now does its thing. But wherever opportunity arises, so does opposition. So there's going to be people that use the same thing that you like for bad, or do things to the one thing that you do like to try and tear it down. Like, that's just how it is. Like, that's the cause and reaction. If you can judge, why can't other people judge not these ye be judged? Like, these things that we're told, and we overlook them, and people get overwhelmed by these thoughts as well. We have to fix all these things. Like, well, that's a lot of fucking work. How do we even fix them? By doing these things, just being aware, talking about it more. People don't talk to anyone anymore. Everyone's scared to talk to people, especially about spirituality, which is weird because we've all gone through these weird ass experiences, and we're all eager to talk about them, but then whenever we get the chance, we just don't really talk about them because we're afraid to seem crazy or sound weird. And that's just proof that these spells that we're under aren't as broken as we seem. Maybe to ourselves, choking that spell over how we feel about ourselves. What about that spell that we have over ourselves that affect other people? I feel a certain way about so and so because I feel like so and so has done something to me, because I'm now get like over reading people. And it's not saying that you're not, what I mean, like, do what you want. Like, we have these abilities, these gifts to do these things for a reason, but it's about using them in moderation. And it's a lot, and people don't want to worry about it, which is why a lot of people, I mean, there are people that I know that choose to just stay asleep because they know how fucked up it is, but they just want to like fall, like, let it all happen anyway, which is like, to each their own. More power to you, truly. um but it's because, like, it feels like there's a lot of, and again, it's like it's like a person thing where we want to come up and say, let's solve these issues, but like, there's not a definite issue for how to, like, me telling one person how to heal from a breakup, is that advice is not going to work for someone else. And that's how you have to think of these things. The only way, the only solution is just to be aware. That's the only thing. Because I can't be there with you permanently to, like, remind you like a parrot in your pocket. Like, I can't do that. That's not what I'm here to do, you know. Um but it's the seed that's planted. It's the knowledge that's planted, and even if, again, if it's not taken, it's something that the divine spits back at you. The divine can only use what you know, either from past lives or current lives, and that's all we're about doing, is spitting these seeds. And again, it's just not stressing about it. There's a lot of stress in the spiritual community. I don't know if other people has noticed that as well or not, but there's just an increase of stress. And it's a stress, and the stress is causing a lot of, like, financial issues because you don't feel like you're worthy for having certain things, and what is, we identify things worth with money. So if you don't feel worthy, then you're not going to receive that, the thing that we have then decided resonates with these things. Is why we gotta be careful of what words we use and why we use words. Because even if you're using a word for your definition, you're using it for your definition, and then Not only that, but their definition of the word, and then the base etymology of the word, of why it was even created in the first place. You never just cast one thing. Whenever you cast something, it has three. It's always gonna have two meanings, and the actual true definition. Like that's that's something we gotta understand. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. The ego has us wrapped up, dude. The ego will trick you so fucking much, and it's I don't know, man. It's something that's not talked about though. These things don't get talked about. Well, I mean they get talked about, but they get talked about in the sense of Stacy getting talked about because Stacy got caught fucking drinking and driving and got like a DUI or some shit. You know, like it's the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about, "Oh, you should do this." They don't fucking tell you how or why, because they don't even fucking know why or how. They're just doing what they think they should do because they see other people doing it. It's like that's what it's become. Like that's like, and that's again, that's nothing wrong with that. Do what you want. Like some people just genuinely want to. Some people just don't know. And there needs to be more people stepping up and at least trying to explain and give examples. Because it's like, I don't know. I don't know. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean it matters because it's on my mind, but like I don't know how to express it. But there's just a lot of back and forth that I get whenever I even think about doing these types of messages. That I'll sit back and I'll let the argument play out in my head all the time because I'll see where it heads, and it's always at this point of like almost of just like not feeling like people are ready for some truth, you know? Because we all want truth, but a lot of people can't handle the smaller facts, and it's one of those things where I didn't even expect this change to really happen the way it did. So it feels weird cultivating an audience and then having and then like the switch happening. So it's kind of like all these things that I'm like learning to like really detach myself from. It's like there's something like the divine's really wanting this to be pushed out, but people aren't really might be pushing it out in like small bits by like talking about it randomly, or just like there's some like there just needs to be a switch in the energy though, and I don't think people are seeing it. It's because this like repetition spell, and if it's not repetition spell, it's this spiritual ego. And even if like your people are getting out and learning, it's like they're not allowing what they have to evolve. And again, like, it's like that's ownership right there. That's feeling. That's ownership. That's the spell of ownership. Thank you, Spirit. That's we'll talk about that too, because it's like we don't own anything. How to overcome spiritual ego? To always remember that there's growing room. Never feel like you're at a point of your journey where you don't have to learn anything else. Understand that it's important to take breaks. Understand that if you simply cannot learn anything else on your spiritual journey at that moment, that it's perfectly cool to draw back. But never think that you have everything you need spiritually. That's spiritual ego. It's remember things that we learn on this realm are tools for our greater purpose in the greater cosmos. What we get on this earth is simply just to teach us. We know nothing. That's why we're here. I don't like that's why I don't like people giving definite answers for shit. Like oh so you know 110% sure that that's happening, or people saying that like they're psychics because they know what color underwear you're wearing. Oh, that's not clairvoyance. That's X-ray vision. Like we've people call themselves a medium, but being a medium, being something that's a medium is something that's average. You're a psychopomp. You are not a medium. Medium is average. You're an average person for a living, is what you're saying. That's crazy to think that we've used the word medium for an average person. The average person has that much ability to talk to the dead, to talk to spirits. Yeah, crazy. That's how it used to be, right? It's not saying that these words are negative and evil. It's just showing you what it is. It's not implying that saying someone's average is less than skilled. It's just saying average is the bare minimum. The bare minimum. The average person could do that. Being a medium is a rarity nowadays, but back then, like, that's why there's an actual word for it. We have to change definitions of words and create new words because we're on a new vibration that has things that we simply can't fucking describe without having a type of way to describe it and dictate it. That's just how it is. So, like, and again, it's about removing that negative connotation or just being aware of that negative connotation that words give. The word ignorance, calling someone ignorant, we take that as such a huge offense, but ignorance is just a lack of knowing. You can be ignorant and not know the answer to a difficult problem. You know what I mean? Like, we, I don't know. We just, like, words have become so, like, strenuous almost. And it's not because you're using, like, words wrong or using improper words. It's just because we're not really taught the best. There's so much hidden. Like, there's a lot of English that isn't taught the way it's supposed to be taught. We're never really taught English that the letter J isn't necessary. That's like a college thing. We should learn that around middle school or something like that. Like, we should understand the changes that happen. Like, why are we hiding so much? Like, it's these weird things. And again, it was just like with the school system, and like the school system is also kind of hand in hand with the whole hypnotism spells, because it's not education centers. It's definitely programming centers. Because when you're educated, you're able to embark and expand. You're programmed to think of something as a certain way, um, and it's like, and I feel like that's like, even growing up in school, like my whole generation, everyone that I talked to would always say that their favorite classes were either like band or art because they had creative expression. And that never really left me personally, because I always looked at things and I always enjoyed art and stuff too. But it never really left me because it really kind of like, it kind of hit that throughout school that those were really the only two subjects that really anyone enjoyed, and it's because those two subjects were the only things that weren't like programming you. They were like helping, teaching you to help you evolve to create. They were educating you so you could be able to expand. The rest of it's just programming you. They tell us to learn from nature, and then they dictate everything in nature to be like false by calling it chaotic, and then we hear the word chaotic and we think chaotic is all over the place, and it's like we think all over the place is a fucking mess. It's like all these things that we just attach negative connotations to, and if we just would stop, how crazy everything would like just fix. And it doesn't even have to be everybody. That's the thing. That's this weird, it has to be everyone. No, it like, if so I was doing like a lot of like searching up and meditating and seeing and divination on this just to try and get this answer. And it's like about 3.5% of the collective conscious, the whole of the population of spirit, needs to be able to come together for these laws, for these spells and stuff under us to be under effect. And it's like 3.5% doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a lot of people. It doesn't need to be a lot of people to raise the vibration of the earth. and to change certain laws on this realm. Um, because we're all divine beings and we all have the power to do so, you know. But it's something that when you when you enlighten yourself to a degree, you're not. It's not to say that you have any like power over certain circumstances, but you have more of almost like a guidebook of why these things are happening, and you're able to maneuver and actually help people out more. Um, because like it's less of people taking on this role of being a healer and more taking on the position of being a shaman, of being a teacher, because we're not here to just teach you or to give you like a small fix of something. We're here to educate you, something that like really allow you to like think about and get in tune with yourself with. We're giving you the answers to the questions that you have. And it's it's super important, dude. Like there's so many changes that people could be doing right now to help bring more balance. And everyone wants to like run around and be like, oh, what do we do? But they're not paying attention to their intuition. And even intuitive people are doing this too, you know. um I mean, that's why I felt called to do like a trading system for the channel. It's like this energy of fear in the collective is coming from not being seen as valued because of some sort of external fucking bullshit. In a lot of the cases, it's fucking money. And it's just like, we're healers, dude. We are a shaman. We are the ones that help lead the way, and what we're leading is that I'm only gonna help you pay this price. That's fucking crazy to me. That's why I got the fucking the trade stuff up. Like I want to like put my foot down and start taking a step in a direction that no one's really taking, which is not only, especially like not make. It's like, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Like it's just, oh, it's been agitating, and it's these changes that people are afraid to make, that they're not even seeing the impact. Like, you're afraid to make it because of yourself. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, it's bad for your business to, like, for doing the trades. It's bad for business, and your money will plummet. Like that for a while. Yeah, it will. Does that? It doesn't, like, who gives a fuck? I'm here to help. Who cares? In the long, and this isn't even me playing the system. It's just me knowing by divine law, going down the trail of life, it's gonna come back. I don't have to fucking worry. I'm promised that this stuff's coming back to me. I'm not in this fear-based mindset of, oh, if I do this today, I won't have it tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed it tomorrow either. Something could randomly happen and I could lose $1,000. I could literally, like, this whole apartment could blow up. This motel could blow up. You know what I mean? These things could just randomly fucking happen. We don't know. It's a chaotic world. Anything's possible, right? So why are we as people so fucking worried about not having something? And then we end up like spending money or doing something, or spending our energy on doing something completely different. And it's because we were afraid of having success in that one other like avenue. It's these things we got to start paying attention to, because it's like, and you just have to live it. You just have to do it. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? It not work. That's all. That's all. It doesn't work. That's fine. That's okay. It becomes too much on you. If you're the one that's running it, you can switch up. Um, you can switch up on yourself. Switch up like times on yourself. But this is, it's just, they have this system ran to where we run it. We run the system. We have all the power. I mean, even look in the fucking declaration. If we find that the governments have doing something we don't like, we have the right as people to petition the government. But we can't come together for more than 2 seconds without wanting to kill each other because we're so stressed out about fucking what color someone likes more than someone else. You know what I mean? It's a war of ourself. It's like the war literally starts with ourselves, and people don't want to take the time to pay attention to themselves, and they don't want to pay attention to their emotions, and they'd rather just brush it off and be like, "It's not manly to feel your emotions." The fuck, you know what's not manly? Lying to yourself. You only lie when you're scared. When you lie down, you're giving up. That's not a manly thing to do. If you're gonna call anything manly, let's fucking get it right. Manly's like a last name. I wouldn't like it's just bullshit like that where we're so stuck up with societal like ways of being, and then just if you're gonna be spiritual, let's get spiritual. If you're gonna be on the 3D, be on the 3D. And it's gonna take time for the transition, but we we get pushed further and further until we make a decision to jump one way or the other. And it's this fear of living spiritually. And a lot of the fear from living spiritually comes from how much of an impact religion has on the 3D, and you making the switch to choose spirituality rather than religion in a full base, not like halfway but completely. It is it's a look that's frowned down upon, but and again, it's something you don't have to do either. Like these are just I'm just talking, but it's something that you really have to realize is that's the leap that's waiting to happen. It's not necessarily a leap between you being worried about how your friends are thinking about you and oh, healing and shadow work. It's a leap between literally leaving behind an old version of yourself and coming into a true formation of who you are. It's a whole you have to die on the physical to be birthed on the spiritual. You have to release your control and change your physical to be able to see things spiritually. To see things from a spiritual point of view changes how everything affects and how everything comes at you on the physical. The higher people get spiritually, the less they're affected by everything on this realm, and it's because they're so detached. They they're not living on the realm, they're part of it. They're just inside of it. And that's this understanding that a lot of people have, and it's I don't know, it's I don't know, it's just fear that's beat inside of us. Um and I mean, I'll use myself for an example. The biggest, not I wouldn't say a big, it was definitely a waking that stuck out to me for a minute. But I started laughing my ass off when it clicked. I was afraid of going homeless, but it never really clicked with me that in order to go homeless, you have to own a home. Oh, like you renting an apartment doesn't mean you own a house. You know what I mean? Like, we don't look at what words really define, and we end up like making ourselves wear this victimhood suit because of the way we use words to define things. Um, and it's just like coming to true terms. Home is where the heart is. We're always told that. So as long as you're following your heart and in tune with your emotions, you're truly never alone or homeless. And it, I don't know, man. There's just so much that's ignored, and it's due to like a spiritual ego. It's due to people not being taught. It's due to a lot of the teachers not fucking teaching. You know, there's a lot of I mean, some do, but there's some people that call themselves teachers, but what do they teach? They taught you that someone's playing in your energy, or they, I don't know, like you might be an instructor, you might not be a teacher. Like there's like if you're wanting to use the labels of the 3D, make sure you truly apply to them. And that's why like it's important not to identify things. You labels are disposed upon you. And it's all these things. It's like the I don't know, man. Spirituality's gotten ripped apart. It's weird because we're still healing from a whole like demonic way of looking at things. I mean, fuck, dude, geomancy was huge. We used to do all sorts of shit. We have a negative connotation due to like Louisiana and Haitians for fucking throwing chicken bones, calling it a voodoo practice when that's just divination. It's the same thing as drawing a few cards. It's these same techniques that we use from the beginning of time that just take on different forms. But I don't know. It's weird. We are so split. Like we really like that's why we gotta remember like that we're a twin individual. Because I've just been thinking about it so much recently. It's like the only reason why we're so confused and lost is because we keep thinking that we're one thing and we're two. Because there's always two fucking sides. We're so confused and polarized. We're not even seeing the other side of things. And whenever we see the other side of things, we don't actually fucking see it. We just say that we do, so we're not dealing with it in its full like spectrum. Um, it's just I don't know. Because I was thinking about it. I'm slowly getting this download back a little bit, but I was in the shower when I was getting it, which always happens that way. um, I was thinking about like just like yin and yang, and it's just like all the darkness has everything except for the light, and the light has everything except for the dark. And the light and the dark are just opinions. It's just the only thing that's different is there's like a different opinion, there's a different outlook. But again, just breaking that down and then thinking of it in that way, just I don't know, thinking of even things that you already know and really looking at them again. It doesn't matter. There's something I feel like a big piece of anything is remembering that you're always a student. Especially if you're going to be a proclaimed teacher, you're always a student. There's not a day that has gone by um, that I haven't reflected on something that I had to learn day one. And there's like, it's like that's something that people we really got to start understanding and getting in the habit of doing. And it's not like doing it every day and religiously or however, but like understanding that the only reason why something meant something to you in the way that it did is because of the day and of the time and of everything and the way that you asked it to yourself. It's like it's why it's so important. That's why retrogrades always happen. That's why Mercury retrograde feels so rough on people because there's not a actual honest review of the things of the past. These retrogrades wouldn't have to happen if we weren't focusing, if we would focus on ourselves, on the parts of us that like make ourselves show, we wouldn't have any need for like a retrograde. A Mercury retrograde wouldn't have to happen if um if man wasn't so conflicted with admitting the truths of themselves or communicating or being so scared to travel or move. Saturn wouldn't have to go in retrograde if man would stop creating things and allow spirit to create through man instead of man trying to give everything a spirit. You know what I mean? And how do you give things a spirit? By giving them a name. You give something life. by giving it a name. Oh, I need a mouse. Oh, you need a mouse? Okay, cool. They go get you a mouse. What, and oh, I need a mouse for my computer. You just gave life to those two objects. You defined them enough to then allow, like, you created it. That's life. That's all life is an acknowledgement of what you're meaning. Life is just consciousness. It's why we're alive is we're conscious. We're chosen because we're conscious. You see what we're getting at? Everything happens because of consciousness, and if we don't understand that on this spiritual journey, then we're operating off of this ego that's running us, and people don't want to be that way. I'm blaming this on my sign. Well, did you know that your sign, your zodiac sign, has an angel and a demon, meaning that it has to comparison a good and bad side, or it's just gonna show you both sides of you. I mean, these are things that, like, I don't know, not many people talk about, but I've always mentioned, and I guess it's just like what needs to be talked about. But just like the Tom and Jerry cartoons, where they have the angel and the devil on the shoulders, like that's literally what your existence is you are constantly being fed on both sides, and it's up to you to make a decision. The the thing that we don't want to admit, but every we could be doing something literally every second to be helping the world, but we've become so self-centered. And again, that comes to the power of our thoughts. If we could all just take a minute, the spare time that we have, not to think negative thoughts. And this is not putting blame on anyone. I'm just explaining how this process works. But if we could just, take our spare time and to think positive thoughts, there wouldn't be all this negative outlash all the time. Like, there wouldn't be a negative, we would presume as a negative or pessimistic energy, to keep it real. There wouldn't be pessimism in the world if we weren't so pessimistic on ourselves. But that was involved because someone put it on us in the first place for some fucking whole, like, oh, let's group up on these people, like, you know what I mean. But the first steps and whatever of everything. But, like, and that's not to say that being pessimistic is a big issue and you blame for everything. No, that's just something that we're working on. That's something that we're working on healing. But how do we even know that it's something that we need to heal from if no one's telling us these things? We 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 tend to forget that um what words mean, and whenever people tell you that everything's a lie, they mean everything, including the fact that you tell yourself that you're living comfortably when you're not. This stress that we've become naturally adjusted to isn't natural at all. It's a form of perversion. Like, we shouldn't have to live in a fear of something bad happening. Like, that is something that is a side effect of this realm. um but um and just evolution as a whole. But just being aware of these things, that's how we're healing from them. And again, it's not like the world's going to be like perfect, and it's not going to be like there's not going to be any days where there's these negative bad thoughts, but it's just the collective of every consciousness on this earth, the big one, um is just overall on a more pessimistic energy, just because there's not much hope happening. And the things that people enjoy and get hope and that high vibration from, people are demonizing and then making everything seem bad. Is like, it's awful, dude. That this is all because of a separation within ourselves, us not being our true selves, us not taking the steps that we really want to take. It's all just reflecting that way externally, and it's really like it's eye opening, at least for me, because it showed me, and I really looked into it, and I was meditating on it a lot, and I really looked in it, and um it just the fact that just everything is just a reflection of myself and of you and of everything, it it shows the parts of you that you don't even focus on. Um, the thoughts that you have about someone that you don't even know is really you looking at that side, that thought of yourself. These thoughts that you don't even pay attention to, that you just put randomly in your brain, they're being brought back up so you can notice them, so you can talk to them in that sense. Like, but we don't realize that because we've pushed everything down so deep. We've pushed so much trauma down. And it's like, oh, we don't have time to cry. You don't have time to do this. Like, what do you mean? I wouldn't be feeling the way I feel if there wasn't time for it. My ego doesn't have time for it. But it wouldn't be happening on this fucking earth if there wasn't time for it. So why do I being told that I don't have time to do something when there's obviously time for it to happen because it's fucking happening right now and I can't stop it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, someone tells you stop crying. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? How do I, like, stop crying about what? Like, how do I stop crying? You want me to just, like, immediately, like, tell my tear ducts to stop? Like, oh, you don't have time to cry right now. You gotta go here and do this. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, telling us we can't express ourselves, it's manly to do this. It's normal not to express emotions. It's normal to express not to express emotions now. We were not afraid to tell people how we felt. Expressing your emotions is literally being, oh, I'm having a good day today. That's an expression of an emotion. Having a good day. It's showing you the expression. That's you're getting the energy that you need to get from that expression. People don't understand these things. we we've personified everything with a pessimistic outcome or outlook to where everything, oh, you don't we it's not always a good thing to express these bad feelings. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, even then it doesn't make sense. Like, these feelings, this energy that's inside of you that's trying to escape, is trying to get out. It doesn't want to be in there to hurt you. It wants to leave. Don't ball it up. It wants to go. It doesn't. Listen, it's not the fact that it doesn't like you, but it just doesn't belong in you. And it knows it doesn't. It's impure. It knows those demons of this realm are the emotions, the reason for the fucking actions that we have. Those attachments, those demons, they get in us. And we feel this energy of like, oh, I'm mad. That's irritation. Like it's trying to get out of you. It's not trying to get you to be an asshole to someone. It's not lingering. It's not stuck to you, leeching you, making you constantly think ill at that person. It's wanting to escape you at that exact moment it's happening. You see, it's like we're not aware of these things. We're taught all these things, but we look at it at such a literal point of view because this realm is like that. We can only see as far as we allow ourselves to. You know, there's infinite amount of space here, and we know this, but we keep allowing things that we learned. It's like, oh, it doesn't apply to this. It doesn't apply to that. Like this doesn't apply to that. There's no way that this applies to anything, but it does. Everything relates to itself. It's just the way you're learning it isn't the way it would be taught for that specific thing. It's like doing It's like doing multiplication and division in addition, right? And you're buying like apples at a store for like class, and you have to like calculate the price, and it's someone explaining to you how to do math, but you've never done math about apple prices before, so you don't. So technically, you don't know how to do math on apple prices, but you know how to do math enough to get you the right answer for it. It's like these specifications that we make that are then not. They're just not defined. Like we have like a. It's a weird fucking thing, dude. I don't know because there's levels to it because we make definitions for words and we say this word means this. Don't ever use this word unless you want to say this. But then you can also say it like this, and you can also say it this way too. No, because this word means one thing. So now I'm adding more definitions to it. So what's going on? Like this, like we don't. A lot of people on this realm don't know how to create. I mean, well, they don't know how to transform energy. They're just like, I don't know. They're just like transmuting it. Well, they're transforming it. Excuse me. They're not transmuting it. They're transforming it because like that's the one issue of this realm is you can't delete energy. You can't start over. You have to work with what you got. You can't bounce out and then have a whole new energy. Um, but yeah. Anyway, um, there's just this weird energy of I don't know. It just like it's really weird. I don't know. I don't know. Spirit kind of yanked it out of my brain. It doesn't matter. We're off that point. It will come back at some other point if it's needed. And then we'll talk about projection spells a little bit too. We can talk about some projection spells, but projection spells, those are interesting. Um, a lot of times with projection spells, um, because like when you end up doing like projection spells, it's either known or unknown. It's either consciously or subconsciously done. It's either you're projecting a part of you that you're aware of, or you're projecting a part that you're unaware of. Which is why you have some people point out things that you don't even know existed, and why some people point out the same thing regardless. But the point of the projection spell, is to project the energy of something or someone onto an object or onto a subject, I should say, that isn't relative to them. Um, and um, damn, I could go really deep with this, but I'm trying to find a way how to connect it. In projection spells, they take this level of cooperation. And this is why when people say the universe doesn't know the difference between a joke or someone being serious, why it's important to do that. Because even when people joke about something that's being projected, there are people that will always take it serious. Um, well, it's important to make sure about that as well. That's how like projection spells work. But um, sometimes, and it's like you have to pay attention to the projection spell. You have to pay attention to it. So let's say someone's projecting um, around like someone's trying to like frame you projection spell, which is framing as well. All these things where someone tries to scapegoat you and make you look like you're the issues, like that's all just projection spell. So let's say someone say that you were stealing some food from someone, right? They were like projecting that onto you. um Fuck, why does everything keep getting ripped from my head, like every time? I don't know. I'm not liking it. Where'd my Florida word go? Oh, it's right here. No, okay, yeah. But sometimes, like, I don't know. That projection could be just someone upset at like your body weight. So they're saying that you're eating all the food because it doesn't look like it would be you, but if I go around and say it's you and people like joke about it and stuff, it's gonna bring enough suspicion. That's why, like, I don't know, just being very careful with that. I don't know how else to describe it because it literally just got ripped up out of my head how I was gonna describe it. So I guess that's not really what I need to be talking about right now either, which is fair. Is there anything else, then, or are we good for the spirit? Because I'm looking at the list I have. Okay. So a I don't know. I really don't think there's anything else to talk about. I can't really like think of anything else. I guess we'll touch on it later, of course, but overall, just being aware, bringing more awareness of these things, um, and with these spells that as I'm talking about, like other people talk about them as well. I don't want to necessarily regurgitate a bunch of information that other people have talked about. Um, I'm just planting seeds. um, but just being aware, raising your awareness, understanding magic and how it's everything and everywhere, and seeing the effects of how things like work with you, how words work with you, how like certain colors work with you, how certain tunes and frequencies work with you, all these spells that are casted out. Really allow yourself to feel how they make you feel. Don't like, tell yourself that it feels a certain way. Allow yourself to really feel it. Um and as well as just paying attention to the natural thoughts that you have as well, like just default thoughts. And again, like you don't have to do anything of this nature. You don't even have to like do these practices. It's just simply being aware of these things. That's all the divines, wants to be spread out. um the divine wants everything spread out, of course, but it's really just understanding that it's no race and there's just no fault, there's no trouble. But at these higher levels of the journey, of the higher understandings of digging deeper to find the more truer meanings of everything, and to find what you personally are looking for, there's these understandings that need to almost fall in place at first, or everything would just seem almost impossible. You know what I mean? And it's again, it's one of those things where you have to remember this realm of infinite possibilities where nothing's impossible. We still allow that impossibility. We still allow to use that law to limit how we think and feel, because we feel like it's impossible for something to happen. But and that's, that in itself is a spell. Um, but that's where we're gonna cut it for this. This is where we're gonna cut it for this, and we'll be back tomorrow at some point, and we'll talk. I'll look at. I mean, we'll see what else we can talk about with the spell work. I'll meditate some more and get some more ideas down, and see what else we can do. What else the divine wants me to like babble about. But thank you all so much for being here. If you're wanting just like gemstone bracelets, you can hit up Otter Spirit. You can use the link in the description and use the promo code as well for 20% off. If you want to get a reading, you can book one. If you book one the through the Google thing, and you're doing a trade, just put in the price thing, just mark it off. But in the information tab where it says you have anything else, like any other questions, just mark that it's a trade. And I'll get that. But I have to make that an option. So if you're wanting to like trade for any of the services that I do, or if you're interested in a service that I have, hit my email up, or the link in the description. If you want to be part of the Google chat room that we have, email me and I'll get you added to that. Regardless, thank you for being here. Your likes, comments, shares, and subscribes, donations, energetic and financial, doesn't matter. I appreciate both of them equally. But I love you all to the moon and back, tenfold and forever, and I will see you later.